Hey, Sean, I want to get your reaction to the fact that, even in the state, we were just talking about this during the commercial break, in Virginia, which Trump will not win, but he's overperforming by 10 points from how he did in that state last time around. And we just heard in New York City, big Democratic stronghold, Harris only got 68% of the vote in New York City, which is astounding when you think of all the people who didn't vote for her in New York City.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. In Rhode Island, where I grew up, very blue, Kamala Harris, 53%. That had been a 60% state. In New Jersey, well underperforming. We're seeing this over and over again. The trend is not good for them. There's no bright spot for them. That's a problem, right? You look, New Jersey, Rhode Island, you pointed out New York City, Virginia, Loudoun County, up in that top part of Virginia, just north of where I live.
Right.
That should be massive turnout for her. Biden got 61%. She got 56. Way underperforming there. You think about the federal workers that are there, all of the activists that live there. This should have been a huge, huge run up the score county for her in Virginia. Not so much at all. This is a big problem. And the bigger issue is that the trend, whether it's North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Rhode Island, New Jersey, New York City, they're not seeing a bright spot. In the exit polls out of Atlanta, Georgia, we're seeing them underperform in a lot of these key constituencies that were critical to any kind of winning coalition. There's really nothing positive they can point to today.
Well, if you think about it, Sean, there may not be anything positive Team Harris can point to.
Right now.
Right now. Although Ian Sams, the spokesperson for Harris, has put out that there's a couple of the collar counties around suburban Atlanta, exurban Atlanta, where Harris is doing better than Joe Biden. These would have been counties that you would have had a population move into after 2020 because of COVID. But that notwithstanding, you're right. And we pointed this out, that Donald Trump is way overperforming in Virginia. He's not really way overperforming in Georgia or in North Carolina, the two swing states. It's very hard to find on the map counties that he is overperforming, by whatever metric you want to use, in Pennsylvania. Still very, very close. There's a couple counties he's doing a point or two better. There's a couple of counties Kamala Harris is doing a point or two better than 2020. So I hear you. I understand why Republicans are excited. You'd rather be Donald Trump right now than Kamala Harris. That said, I remember 2020, about this time of the night, when the needle was moving towards the Republicans, there were a lot of Republicans who were quite excited.
Well, yeah, but you look at where Trump was in 2020, he lost Georgia by 11,000 votes. So the idea that he's up the way he is right now by over 200,000, he is overperforming. It depends on whether your metric, your baseline is 2016 or 2020. But clearly a huge course correction from 2020. You're down 11,000 votes, now up 200,000. And these are places
Sean,
where I think
I'm going to interrupt you because you're going to want to hear this. Decision to SHU with a race call in the state of Ohio. Bernie Moreno wins the Ohio U.S. Senate general election. So you now have a pickup in West Virginia and in Ohio. And Ted Cruz held in Texas. It's still too early to formally call the U.S. Senate for the Republicans, but we're at 98, 99% chance once we get votes in from Montana, double-check Nebraska. Sean, this means what?
Well, this means there's no question in my mind. Obviously, I don't have the same journalistic standard, but you think about it, Democrats had 3 seats that they were thinking that they could potentially pick up: Nebraska, Florida, and Texas. Rick Scott called early the winner there. Ted Cruz called the winner. We'll still see Nebraska. Obviously, that's the one possibility that's still out there. We have that pickup, Republican pickup, +1 in West Virginia, +1 in Ohio. I think we'll get the other +1 in Montana. That gives us a net of 3 if we hold all 3 of those Democratic ones that they were looking at. And then you still have Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. I mean, to me, even if you pick up 2, you're talking about a Senate majority of 53, 54. This is going to be a big, big night for Republicans in the Senate. Again, generally speaking, Leland, when things start to break among late deciders, there's somewhat of a trend, 60-40, 70-30, somewhere in there, because they all tend to kind of coalesce around the same type of issues. It's not a homogenous group, but you tend to see it in the late breaker undecided folks going into Election Day. I don't see, how this is going to be anything other than a good night for Republicans up and down the ticket.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.